comrade? As the public was masterfully entertained. So we have communism with a fascist twist, implemented here. To pull off creating this type of structure, keep in mind, like I said, the basic fundamentals to each and every one of us personally, how much money we have in our pocket, our total investments, our net worth, which everyone is oblivious to, whether it has to do with their city, county, or state. And even if they decide to look at this, they're given a budget report, which shows where tax income is brought in, where tax income is expended. They call that the general purpose operating funds. They could go over it 100 times, account for a nickel, dime, and penny. Now, if they looked at the annual financial report, big difference. You could have a state saying, we're $700 million short in our budget, we're going to have to raise taxes, fire the police, throw the school teachers out in the street. And you look at their annual you look at their budget report, we're $700 million short. Look at their annual financial report, they could be $3.5 billion in the black. And the public sitting there clueless, being marketed to, often la-la land, and these guys are laughing, all the way down to the bank. Every week, every month, every year. And they've been building up for 65 years. And they're also getting more totalitarian, as long as you're nice little, sheeple and ferret sitting there following instructions. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? That way? Okay, yeah, no, that way, okay. No problem. 40% of my money goes out to get government. Oh, that's great. No problem. If you object, whatever, they will target you. They'll make your life a living hell. They're organized crime. Al Capone, back in the 20s, 30s, you go up to businesses saying, you're in my town, you pay me 25% of your gross income for the week if you want to do business in my town. And he would, somebody said, I'm going to pay you 25%. Oh, no way. He goes, you're right. You're going to pay me 35%. If you don't pay me in 10 days, I'm going to firebomb out your business. And he did. Government has everybody sitting here, fearful, scared. Oh, don't pay taxes. No. IRS is not coming in there and indict me. I'm going to be in jail back and forth. It's going to run all my money out of the government anyway. Oh, they'll destroy me. Well, maybe. The old expression, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, and they promote the fear aspect to keep 99% of the public in line. Okay? But, everyone hears the IRS. Everyone knows they're collecting taxes. How many people in this room know what IRS collected last year? Anyone know? Okay, and I read Staples' button on my download. I had one of the, not last year, but I think it was for 99. It gives IRS its annual financial report, audited by GOA and the Treasury Department. Now, just a notation, I didn't really look into the IRS until about 2 years ago. I said, okay, well, let me find out about the IRS. I want to find out first, is it a government agency or is it a private agency? Private corporation? Well, everything I looked at told me 100% it's a private corporation, assigned as a collection agency, assigned by Congress to collect tax bills. The IRS was the only company I found anywhere in the world that puts out 2 annual financial reports. They put out one annual financial report for their collection obligations to the U.S. government, and they put out another annual financial report for their corporate structure, which told me they're 100% private. Now, I got my hands on the, annual financial report for the collection obligation for the Congress that they're contracting out for. I have not been able to find their second annual financial report. I looked through the archives of all the documents from Senate, Congress, to the IRS. Every single document I found, without exception, said, this is recommended, we suggest. There was not one document that said, you will do it this way. This is the way the law is. This is how it will be done. Everything was a suggestion, a request, not one specific instruction. Over everything I could find, communication between Treasury and IRS, Senate, Congress, always a suggestion or a recommendation. Never once, this is how you will do it. Because they were not a government agency, they couldn't be told what to do. Only recommendations and suggestions. I haven't found their original annual financial report yet, but I have a feeling they're not a U.S. corporation. I think they're a foreign corporation, would be my guess. Okay. And their other annual financial total demographics, total personal income, total corporate income. I mean, phenomenal data there, showing the big picture. And the thing I noticed when I looked at the corporations, which have anywhere from 5, 7, 8% tax liabilities, 3%. Do you know what the big corporations were paying in tax back then? 0.2%, 1%, 0.25%. Because after their deductions, nothing. Now, the private sector at that time, 35%, 27%, 16%. And it broke up each demographic group. Now, I thought about it for a second. I said, why are the corporations getting off so scot-free? Well, duh. I'm telling people the government owns corporations. Why would they tax themselves? Okay. The investment income. If a tax was levied on government's investment income, it would pay off almost all budgets on local government. Okay? But the bottom line is, we were trained and conditioned to vacuum and avoid what's built up on the basics, so we wouldn't even think about it. Don't go there. There's no communication, no conversation, no cognitive thought allowed as to what are basics to ourselves. What's total cash gross receipts, total investments, net worth. Don't discuss it, don't talk about it. You can have a state saying they're short on their budget, $700 million, but if you look back 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they may have increased their expenditures by $5.3 billion. That's why they're short $700 million. Do people look at the basics? No. They're being marketed to and entertained. To follow instructions as an easy mark for wealth transfer at the benefit of others. Now, what I've told you up until this point, I just consider blind opportunity. We left the vault door open. They said, thank you very much. You ready for the scary point? At this point, 70% of the show are congressmen, our senators, our governors, attorneys. 70% of our elected officials are attorneys. Networking to move as much cash as possible now to their advantage, dotting the I's and crossing the T's to lock in the productivity value of the next 7 generations. As we sit here being masterfully entertained. It's a scary thought, and I think everyone here knows the reputation of an attorney. Say it's mandatory to use them, or you'll be destroyed. Then when you're forced to use them, they'll take everything you got, and after they plain language screw you, they'll still expect you to say thank you, and not go on indignant if you get mad. Does that kind of seem like what politics are today? It's because 70% of attorneys. They're networking between themselves. There is no more separation of powers doctrine. The judicial took over the administrative and legislative through the minions of attorneys. Now networking it all together as one corporate for-profit enterprise. And you start digging into your local cities, your counties, your states. This is California. I consider California a beautiful state. We have Governor Schwarzenegger. We're $38 billion short on our budget. How will we survive? $38 billion also is pocket change for California. If you took all local government within California, added up the collective liquid investment totals, you're somewhere around 10 or 11 trillion dollars. If Schwarzenegger said, well, we found ourselves short with $38 billion in red, you got to make this up. What we're going to do is do a full audit review of all specialty investment funds from all local governments, which there's tens of thousands, and we're going to determine what an equal percentage would be to satisfy our entire negative and give us enough of a surplus to buy us through the hard times here. Well, it would probably only be like 1.5%, maybe 2% max of an equal distribution from all of these funds. Simple, no problem. Yep, done. Well, number one, they get a big problem because they can't qualify all of these specialty investment funds in the first place because the public never knew about them. Majority. Okay, so that's a big problem for them. They can't mention it.